On your website, you said that the goal of the Congressional Media Fairness Caucus is to encourage media to adhere to the highest standards of reporting and provide American people with the facts, balanced stories, and fair coverage. How would you define those high standards that you intend to hold the media to?
Well, the media have an awesome responsibility in our democratic society because they're the ones we look to provide the facts and the information to the American people so the American people can make good decisions. And when I think of a media that's fair and objective, and that's what their own code of ethics requires them to be, I think of a media that provides the facts, provides balanced stories, doesn't try to shade the story, doesn't try to write editorials, but report the news. They don't try to omit one side. They don't try to use adjectives to slant the story in one direction. There's all kinds of ways in which bias can manifest itself. And so the bias that I see in the national media today, and it's not just my opinion, it's the American people that see the bias as well. In fact, in a recent poll, only 9% of the American people, 9%, less than 1 out of 10, thought the media were actually fair and objective in their reporting. So I'm not alone in this sort of enterprise, but they do need to remember what their journalistic standards are, and that's to report the news accurately and fairly, not slant the news, not try to tell people what to think, but let them make up their own minds.
Do you intend to apply these standards to conservative media bias as well as liberal media?
I certainly do think these standards should apply to both conservative and media outlets. The problem is that the media outlets outnumber the conservative outlets by at least 10 to 1. I'll give you a couple of examples. For instance, the 3 network news have about 24 million viewers every night versus 4 for Fox. Oftentimes the other side will say, oh, well, you've got Fox and you've got Lamar and the others. But in point of view, there are far more viewers of the liberal slanted than Fox. And by the way, Fox, I wish the other network news would do this, Fox actually tries to be fair and even. They have a Democrat, they have a Republican. The network news don't bother to do that. Most of the time it's just the Democratic side, for example. In the case of Limbaugh, everybody knows that that's opinion. He says it's opinion. He's not trying to report the news fairly and objectively. And with newspapers, with radio, with the TV stations, they are supposed to be reporting the news and being factual, not trying to tell people what to do or what to think, let them make up their own minds. So that's what we're trying to do. In the case of, another example would be in the coverage of the election prior to the presidency, where we had Senator McCain, Senator Obama running. There were 3 times as many negative stories about Senator McCain as about Senator Obama. 3 times as many. And night after night, day after day, week after week, that's going to have an impact. It may well have determined the outcome of the election. We have another figure, this discovered by Industrial Business Daily, that there were 20 times as many reporters who contributed to Senator Obama as contributed to Senator McCain. 20 times as many. They will profess, of course, that it had nothing to do, and it didn't bias them, and it didn't impact their writing or their coverage, but it clearly does. All you have to do is read the front page of some of the national newspapers, or listen to the network news programs at night, or listen to NPR or whatever. Clearly these reporters contributed to Senator Obama, and their views are manifested in the coverage that they provide. So we have there have been lots of studies made. The American people feel that the media is slanted 2 to 1 liberal over conservative. So the American people are smart. That's why they don't think the media are providing the kind of coverage that they should. The media need to be objective. They need to be factual. They need to let the American people make up their own minds, not tell them what to think.
As of today, have any Democrats joined the caucus?
No. I'll have to think whether we have actually, I think we broadcasted it's open to anybody who wants to join, and if any Democrat feels that there's a liberal media bias, they'd be more than welcome.
What advice do you have for the media in order to be placed in good standing with the caucus, in order to avoid being falling under the umbrella of being biased and maybe being pointed out by the caucus? Oh,
well, we certainly are going to point out examples of media bias, and we can do so in floor speeches, we can do so in op-eds, we can do so in letters to the editor, letters to producers, and talking to individual reporters as well. So we hope to have an impact, and I think the media probably want to do better. I shouldn't say that. I've talked to some media representatives. I'd say some recognize that there's a problem, some want to do better, some realize they didn't really do a good job of, say, covering former Senator, now President Obama during the campaign. But I've talked to other members of the media. I remember a TV reporter I talked to, and I said, look, here's what the polls show. Here's examples of media bias on your network. And frankly, he shrugged and just didn't care. So you run into the apathetic or the indifferent, you run into those who really have a conscience and recognize the responsibility that their profession has, and those are the ones who really want to adhere to those high journalistic standards, and we're going to encourage them to do so.
Great. Thank you.